All right, Stewart, let's start by telling me a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what are some identity markers that matter to you?
Where am I from? I'm going to go with first things that come in my brain. No thought.
Yeah.
Athabasca farm boy, Collington rodeo champion when I was 12. We did that at work. Also, father of a wonderful child, nurse, human, brother. I don't know. Tried to be a good person.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what has the journey of love been like for you in 3 words?
So that's impossible.
Okay.
Those are 3 words. So that's impossible.
Okay.
The Greeks had 12.
Right.
There is everything from eros, which is lust. I've had that. I can say that on camera. And then there is the highest form is agape, which I think I have with my son. Everything in between, but love, that's maybe the hardest question. What is love? Self-love?
Right.
I don't know. That's
That's a hard one, right?
I'm not. Maybe it's that feeling. You know, the only when you say that, you know what I think of? Have you ever had that moment in time where you're somewhere or with someone and time stands still? To me, that's love. And that's happened moments. But as far as like love goes, I don't know.
Yeah, so there's a moments of presence where you feel that connection and timelessness.
I don't know what love is. If I knew, like I know how I feel, but love, I think we all want love. All you need is love.
Right.
Quote John Lennon.
Right.
That's hard.
What was your earliest memory of love? And this could be any type of love, but where you can feel it. What's your earliest memory?
Scott Butler. Sorry.
Yeah.
Which is very unhealthy. I was 30. Okay. But when you say that, I'm going first thing that comes to my mind.
And so what about that was love for you? How was it special?
It's the first time I've ever felt at peace, that time stood still. I could be with somebody and it feels like 1 minute, but yet 6 hours had gone by. So it is that slipping into another realm, another something. It's something that I cannot express. I think that if we all think about it, you feel a moment in time where it's just everything stands still. You can like, it's indescribable, and that's what I think love is. I could be wrong. So I mean, I want to say, oh, this or that, but that's my narrative telling me about what society should say, norms of like the first time this happened or that happened. No, but I'm talking love with another human being from me, not my mother's love or that type of love. I'm talking selfish love, I guess.
Well, the love that feels good.
Wow.
Well, because this is the other thing about love that people debate about, is they say, is it what you are for someone else, what you feel for someone else, or is it how they make you feel?
So I think true love is when you care more about the other person and how they feel. That's how you know that you love someone, is that you're not worried about how you feel, but you're like, how are they feeling? When you're holding space for them more so than yourself, and you do it without knowing. It gets pointed out later. So you know that somebody isn't in love with you when they're worried about themselves. Because I'm always worried about, like, I get pleasure in making sure that person that I'm with is happy and satisfied, meeting on their level. Maybe that's a selfish thing, but to me, true love is, it's not unconditional. Right? There are conditions where there's a respect, and I don't know. I think for my child is the truest form of love. Like, I would do anything. Like, I would, if there was a train and it was me versus him, I would push him out of the way. I wouldn't be able to live knowing that I didn't do that. That is one form of love, like a parent-child love. But as far as like relationship love goes, like romantic, I haven't figured that out.
You know, I have to agree with you that the mother love or the parental love is the purest I've ever experienced, because I'm so willing to give them everything and I'm not demanding something back most of the time when I'm healthy. But in romantic love, as you said, it's not unconditional. There are conditions on it. We want certain things, and it makes sense that we want certain things. So what about if we take it into the practical realm, and you know, in this person you experienced love with, were you able to live with them? Were you able to relate to them long term? How do you think, in your experience, love gets to remain? What keeps it going?
So this is, I did a lot of research on this. So the person that I'm talking about is actually funny. I just texted today. And so I am now 45, about to be 46. They were there at my 30th birthday. We dated, we lived together very briefly. This is a different version of myself back when I met. And I met this person, and there was that there's a chemical attraction, and it's there or it's not. We had that. And then we dated, but we were different stages of life, different people. But now it kind of just rekindled. It's very odd. I don't know. And I forgot the question. I'm just thinking about, like, okay. I'm actually quite excited about this. Like, they just texted me. So I'm a little bit, I feel like kind of odd, because I've been single for 3 years and I gave up on relationships. I'm like, I'm good on my own. I don't know.
Yeah, I think when we say we're good on our own, it's when we have realized that being alone is better than being in something toxic. Being alone is better than the angst of a bad and difficult relationship. But when we get a glimpse or a taste of, oh, I could be with someone and it's not toxic, then we much would prefer that to being alone. I don't think anybody truly prefers to be alone over having a love relationship. It's just hard to find the right one.
Well, and I've asked people that are, you know, have had, like, let's say, the love of their life, and they are single at, let's say, 50, 60, and I say, how do you feel? Because that's where I was going down after a very long divorce. And they said there's a big difference between being alone and lonely. I don't get lonely. That's profound. I would not be able to say that 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Now, I'm not lonely. I'm okay in my own head. So to be with someone for the sake of being with someone, I think is the most disastrous relationships I've seen. And there's worse things than being with someone, and it's being with the wrong person. Yeah. And I've experienced that, and I call that person they who shall not be named. Which is because I don't even want to hold space for saying the name.
Right. That makes sense. We don't want to give energy to those people who sucked so much out of us. And moving on. I'm curious if you would want to share, when did you know that you were attracted to men, and how did you know that?
Always. I can't explain it. It's not like a one day, oh, I'm gay. But I remember being in a store, and there was like, you gotta remember, this is the 80s, this is the 90s. I grew up in rural Alberta, redneck, rootin' tootin' country bumpkin, where they called people, and I'm gonna use derogatory terms, quote, faggots, drag them behind trucks. This was my life, cattle ranch, okay? So I always knew, I saw like carts, there's these little carts with just half naked men, and I was like, why do I like that? That's how it started. Why do I like that? And then I felt very deviant, shame, guilty. I dated a girl up until college. We lived together until I was 20. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
We moved away to a different city. But I came to this point where I knew I had never experienced being in a homosexual relationship before, but I knew that being with a woman wasn't for me, and I don't know how to quantify it. It's just like, it felt like it was forced, it felt like it wasn't real, and I would actually think about, and I've never had a homosexual experience before, like a physical one, but I would think about men, and then I would feel bad. And I actually, this poor girl who I recently actually reached out to apologize because she didn't know. You just know. You just know, and you try to convince yourself you're not because you don't want that, right? Like, you don't want to be ostracized. You don't want to have a small pool. And back then it was like, like it felt wrong how I grew up.
Right. And there's still some places where it's like that and other places where it's not like that. It's changing a little bit. And so what's your take on, what used to be the gay community?
Oh, can I put one thing
Yes,
in?
absolutely.
So it wasn't until I actually met the first guy and was physically with the first guy, I was like, oh, for sure, okay. I was like, okay.
And now there's no
Then
confusion.
I knew, but
Right.
I did not do anything until I was single, separate, and at my own risk.
Okay. Right.
Because we were always given the narrative, the gays are dirty, they have it. You know.
Right.
Unfortunately, still true.
Right. So what's your take on what used to be called the gay community, then was called the queer community, LGBTQ plus SIA? I'm curious from your perspective, what's your take on that movement?
Who are they? Who's their leader? And who designed it? I don't know who they are. I'm me. My community is my neighbors, my family. There are a small subset of people who identify with pride. What are you proud of? It's nothing to be proud of. Nobody cares what you do in your bedroom. Do it by yourself, okay? What we should have is a thank you, straight white men. Do you know why? Jean Chrétien, 2010, his legacy when he left, gay marriage is legal, this is legal, that's legal. We have equal rights. What are the parades about? Huh?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I have an aunt who's has been married to a woman for several decades now, I guess, and she has exactly the same position. She's like, I don't want parades. I don't go to that stuff. I have nothing to do with it. And so I thought it was interesting when you said almost exactly the same thing as her.
But it does a disservice because the media is sensationalization. So when you see it on TV, it shows, and I do not, everybody be who you are, right? You do you, kangaroo, as long as it doesn't affect me. But indirectly it affects me because how am I associated with a transgender person? How am I associated with people that I don't identify with? That's what I don't like. I don't belong in a category. I am Stewart, my own category. I don't know. Don't put me in a box. And the community is toxic. From my experience, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know who they are, and I don't want to be a part of it. I just want to live my life. But some people have nothing, and they identify with that, and they go with that. And I think that that's what people see the community. In Edmonton, metro population 1.7 million. The same 500 people do the whole thing all the time. That's the gay community. If it's 2% of the population and there's 100,000 gays, I'm the majority. From my math, I don't know, right? And I don't know, I can only speak for me, but I've never found it a value. I found it a disservice to have that.
Right. You were mentioning that it makes people associate with kink and, really extreme behaviors, extreme outfits, when here you are, you want to just raise your son and have a nice life just like everybody else.
I just want to live.
You don't want that kind of attention.
I don't need,
Yeah.
that's it. I don't need the attention. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't. I just want to live my life, do my own thing.
Yeah.
But some people, they don't have that. For whatever reason, not judging it's good or bad, but
Right.
it's sad actually when I think about them. And there's a lot of people, they do the same thing and they've been doing the same thing for 20 years.
Right.
But there's also a very dark side to it we won't get into, but there's a very dark side. The recent studies, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time left. What I want you to tell me is if you could tell me the kind of man that you would love to spend the rest of your life with. And what are his values? What is his philosophy of life, and why that's important to you?
So I think the biggest value would be honesty. Because without honesty, you can't have trust. And I think that honesty is the pillar where everything else is based on. You have trust, security, your attachment. So if they're honest, number one, good or bad, let me make the choice whether I think it's okay or not. Don't take that choice away from me. Honesty. Honesty when it makes you vulnerable and it could go against you. That is the number one quality. Number one.
Honesty is, I agree with that. Total critical foundation. What about lifestyle? Like I know we were talking earlier that you're kind of like, I want someone who can, I can live life with as a partnership. What does that look like?
So I'm at a certain level and I live a certain lifestyle. God, is there a way to say this that doesn't sound pretentious? But I have worked my arse off. I want somebody who will, this is how it is. If you don't invest in yourself, why should anyone else invest in you? If you don't do the work for yourself for your own life, why would I do the work for you? I also feel uncomfortable if, let's say, a billionaire. I don't want to be owned. So there's a very fine line of around my, let's say, socio-demographic. That's it.
Right. That makes sense because it creates a lot of power imbalances when it's outside of that realm.
Yes, and we live in a very materialistic society that not only values but encourages narcissism and narcissistic traits. Not everyone is a narcissist. Everyone has narcissistic traits, but we adhere it. And men now have done to themselves what women try to avoid. They're sexualizing themselves. Like, oh, I have abs, bra. I've seen people in the gym, shirts off, like weightlifting, just being like, I don't know, but I'm also Gen X, and we're the generation of, I don't care. Like, I honestly, you do you, as long as it's not affecting me in my life.
Right.
But what I do realize as I'm getting older is maybe it doesn't affect me directly, but there's indirect effects.
Right. We're part of this community together. And as things shift, it shifts for everybody. And I definitely noticed that. For example, a lot of even, online, I'm in all these relationship groups and supporting people, and people are saying, my husband wants to open the relationship. My wife wants to open the relationship. There's a very strong movement towards, do we really need to be exclusive? Can we just have multiple partners? Like, what's your take on that?
So here's my take is that to each their own. But for me personally is if you have to sacrifice being with other people to be with me, that's a non-negotiable. Like, I want monogamy. Of course you're going to be attracted to other people. Maybe you want to be attracted to other people, but I want a relationship where you can say, you know what, I was at the store today and I saw somebody extremely attractive. I was tempted, but I didn't. And I want to be able to have that. That's where that honesty comes in, right? Because we're all going to have that.
Yeah, I find it really...
But I don't want someone I know couples that they're both on their app looking for other people. What? How is that healthy?
Yeah, it creates a lot of instability for that couple. The thing that I notice, speaking of power imbalance, is it's almost never fully mutual. There's one person who wants it more than the other person, can go either way, and the other person is putting up with it because they want to keep the relationship together. And that kind of tension is just corrosive. And I stand for monogamy as well, but I love hearing you bring that up from your perspective, because the culture is shifting away from monogamy and sending a narrative that it's not that important, that it's not natural, that we should have more freedom. And the truth is, it's not natural. We choose to restrain ourselves for the things that we value.
So I think that we've been in such an easy society that we don't have discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-discipline. Like, yes, you want to go do all these things, but is it actually healthy for yourself? Because if you're always seeking something new, shiny, right? There's always somebody younger, prettier, richer, smarter coming up down the line from you. So you're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a slippery slope, and then you start thinking you're entitled. I'm entitled to what I desire. I should have it. Why shouldn't I have that? And then this twists it from my self-worth is around self-discipline to my self-worth is about hedonism and taking everything I want when I want it. which is really, to me, like a going backwards in social evolution to a more childlike state. Children are like that. They're entitled. They want it. They take it.
And people are saying that, I think the pendulum is swinging right now, and we're in a shift. I feel a cultural society level shift where we were swinging very liberal, and now we are kind of in the middle where we're going a little more conservative. We're going to land somewhere in the middle, but I don't know. For me, monogamy, non-negotiable. Yeah. If somebody was to have something that happens, that's where the trust comes in. Let's talk about it. I could probably forgive someone if they're honest.
Right. But and if it's an agreement that this is not what we're doing, but it was a slip up or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we're all imperfect. As Mary Poppins said, perfectly imperfect in every way.
Okay, so last question. What are one or two of the biggest lessons you've learned in love that you take forward as wisdom?
Don't have expectations. Make a list. So one thing that I was told after 6 years divorce, one thing that I was told by a great counselor was, you make a list of what you want when you're single, and you don't settle for what's not on that list. If they don't meet all that criteria, because unhealthy people attract unhealthy people, and healthy people attract healthy people. Do not deviate.
That's, I think, the biggest lesson that I've learned too, is that we think we can't find someone healthy, but usually it's because parts of us that are unhealed are magnetized to that unhealthy person. So if you do that work on yourself to heal, increase your self-worth, be able to hold boundaries with someone who might be interesting but doesn't meet your standards, then you're able to wait for that really healthy person who wants to have a partnership, who's honest, who can communicate.
Yeah, and maybe that's not a priority for everyone. Maybe some people it is Sweet Dreams, that song, the lyrics, some of them, I don't know. This is just me, but
it's the truth. It's not a priority for everyone.
Yeah.
And you can find that on dating apps when people say what they're looking for. Some people are looking for a good time. Some people are looking for a life partnership. And we need to have discernment and not pretend someone else is looking for something they're not looking for.
I firmly believe we're all looking for the same thing. Meaningful human interaction. And whatever you want to call that, it is all the same. A meaningful relationship that lasts. And it's rare. Unfortunately, these days, we're lucky if you experience love. Some people don't ever. I'm lucky. I'm pretty sure. Actually, yeah, I have. And even if I haven't, I'm going to delude myself and say I have because it makes me happy.
And you're the only person who gets to make that standard, right? If you felt it, it's true. No one else can tell you that wasn't real. You didn't feel it.
Like Natasha Bedingfield. Feel the rain on your skin. Only you can feel it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
My garbly goo.
And I wish you a lifetime of love with the absolute wonderful person.